Today we continue with our discussion on the policy or notion of zoning, which has become a flashpoint in the run-up to the 2023 presidential election. President Muhammadu Buhari, who is from the northwestern state of Katsina, is set to complete his 2 terms of 4 years next year. As his presidency draws to an end, there are calls for a power shift to the south. The principle of zoning is not enshrined in the constitution, but many see it as a means to national cohesion. Agitators for power shift say it's only fair for Nigeria's next president to come from anywhere other than the north. But a group of northern leaders and elders has stoked controversy by calling the notion of zoning needless and unconstitutional, some even say undemocratic. The group says competence should be the guiding principle in the choice of who succeeds President Buhari. Well, I have in the studio with me Dr. Mefor, who is the director at the Igbo Leadership Development Foundation and a senior fellow at the Abuja Social and Political School, as well as Arise analyst Dr. Sam Amadi. And I come to you, Dr. Mefor. I mean, a lot of persons are saying that Southern presidency is the solution to the agitations for Nigeria's breakup. And if we don't get it right in 2023, there may just be no Nigeria after that. What do you make of those kind of very strong positions?
I don't share the notion that unless Southern Nigeria produces the next president, the country would go up in flames. I don't share
or not
that,
even be in existence.
You know, that's it. It's not necessary. You know, such agitation is uncalled for. But the preponderance of the situation in the country calls for a Southern president in 2023. And is the sentiment in the country at the moment. And of course, since the return of the country to the current the democratic dispensation, there has been that understanding, that convention, that the presidency should rotate between North and South Nigeria. You know, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan essentially lost in 2015 because he did not obey that sentiment. He didn't obey that convention. And, you know, for whoever is trying to return the country to what happened between the Jonathan presidency and the political climate is actually calling for a repeat of that 2015 experience of PDP and Jonathan. If they obeyed the simple principle of rotation, PDP would be in power today. I'll tell you. You see, if you go back in time and see how it all began, you'll see that PDP, holding power for 16 years, actually understood the need for this rotation and wrote it into their own constitution. In 2009, the PDP wrote into its own constitution the principle of rotation between North and South Nigeria. And the rotation again between the zones, geopolitical zones within the. So if people are calling for it to be jettisoned, we are actually saying that the wisdom that informed that decision by the PDP is foolish. And let me also draw your attention to the Constitution of Nigeria. The 1989 Constitution is the ground now, and it is written into it also the principle of federal character. It is clear. I can't remember the section now. Luckily, we have a professor of law here. There is, an express provision that federal offices will have to be, distributed amongst the geopolitical zones in the country. The office of the president is indivisible. The only way you can apply the federal character principle to the office of the president is to rotate it. And why does the country Nigeria want to have federal character principle enshrined in its affairs? Is because of the way the country is. If you want to say one man, one vote, takes it, do you understand that? North and South Nigeria are not equitably
okay, very interesting submission you've got. I mean,
that's it.
Doctor, you're a professor of law. You've heard how he has brought it to the fore that the principle of federal character is actually a subtle a spirit of zoning that has been put in the constitution. But a lot of persons says that zoning as a principle is outdated at the moment. The South over the years, decades, has always been known for calling for merit. why should this same South be asking for zoning, which in time past it's deemed to be a burden that should be jettisoned?
I think we should start with basic corrections. First is that there's no antinomy between zoning and merit. So the point of zoning is not merit. Zoning and no zoning can all include merit. So for example, a non-zoning policy can also be meritocratic in the sense that you're looking for the best guy. A zoning policy tries to localize the search for merit. So it says we want the best guy, but now want it to come from block A instead of block B. So there's nothing inherently anti-merit.
There's still some form of exclusion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm saying, that it's based on zoning is not only politics. We zone everything. For example, the United Nations, that's zoning. But so you zone. Some positions go to Europe, some go to America. The IMF, by convention, is going to be an European.
I mean, that's the reason why Nigeria produced the UN president of the General Assembly. So
zoning is not just in Nigeria, it's global. But the point is, politics is a matter of intricacies and complexities and also some idea about what is current. So those who say, for me, if you're going to do zoning, then it's zoning to Southeast. I'm not a strong proponent of so-called Southern zone, because basically what does that mean? It means Southwest, South is okay?
Yeah.
If you look at Southwest, they have done presidency for 8 years. They have done vice presidency for 4 years. So as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing like zoning for the South. If you come to the North, by the way, North Central has not done presidency. North East, I guess, has not done presidency. So basically, there's some complexity about zoning. But see what I am a strong advocate of: federal character. I believe that the next Nigerian president, apart from hopefully coming from Southeast or not from Southeast, should focus on sharing power. The notion of sharing power is superior to the idea of zoning.
And what do you mean by sharing power?
The infrastructure of the presidency made a point about that. If you look at the federal characters principle, Buhari created a crisis for us where we seem to have the president kind of putting most of the power infrastructure in one zone. So a shared power would mean not just the VP and the president. It means that, for example, that with elite consensus, the DSS, security apparatus are shared across the various zones, so that there will be a sense in which you create a common platform. People have shared commitment, stakes in governance. Now, it could be that the president could come from Southeast or Southwest, South. It doesn't really, for me, cut it as much as having a shared government. What Ben Buhari did was to escalate the notion of isolation.
Okay, and I'll come to you.
So it creates a sense where everybody is fighting for that presidency, but share the presidency, and it may not matter whether it's the South.
If we have shared prosperity across the country, we will have so much
and shared power.
Okay, as we try to round off this first segment, I'll talk to you about the fears of a southern presidency. There are some people from the north who are feeling that President Buhari didn't do well in his relations with the south so much, although that has been disputed by many government officials in his government. Do you think that there's this morbid fear for a southern president that he may replicate what Buhari did to the south? We have him in power?
Whoever is hoping that a southern president, particularly a Nigerian president of Southeast extraction, would pay the North back in Buhari's coin, does not understand the dynamics. An Igbo man, by nature, is equitable. He's going to run an equitable presidency. It's very natural of him. He's not going to go in there to enthrone Igbo hegemony. He doesn't need it.
Well, will the system even allow that?
The system could. Buhari has proved that the system can allow hegemony. That's the truth. And that is why
even though that's disputed by the government, they keep saying that.
The appointments he has made, he's been able to circumvent the constitution to install people from one section of the country in the security architecture of the country. Though that is against the express provisions of the 1999 Constitution as the borders of the federal character, but he got away with it.
All right.
But I don't see that coming from a Nigerian president of Southeast or Igbo extraction.
Okay, just hold your thoughts there while we go on the short break. When we come back, continue the conversation. You're still watching the Arising TV. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Somna Sambo, and I still have in the studio with me Dr. Mefor, who is the director at the Igbo Leadership Development Foundation and a senior fellow at the Abuja School of Social and Political School of Thought, and the Arise analyst Dr. Sam Amadi. And I'll come to you, Lord, to conclude that point you were trying to make of the fear from different parts of the country of allowing someone, especially maybe from the southeast, like you were trying to talk about. But is there any particular reason why Northern elders, after an 8-year Buhari presidency, should even be contemplating of another Northerner returning to power? Is it because of their huge political weight that they could actually pull that weight behind a candidate and that person will almost come to power, whether it's from north or south?
You know, if you look at the nation's power configuration, the voting pattern, and all that, it weighs fairly, in favor of the north. In other words, they can flaunt their votes and say they can always put who they want there. That is one level of it. There is a greater consensus in the north in terms of picking a candidate and backing the person up. You hardly find that in the southern part of the country. In other words, you may have political north, but you can't say the same for the south as such.
Yeah, and we're always wondering, especially political groups in the south, several of them come close.
So that's it. And it's shameful that you have Northern Governors Forum, you don't have Southern Governors Forum. They try to.
They used to be one.
Come on. It's just
until it was revived last year,
and
then
in the pan. They tried to come around again just last week. They told it twice. So it's really shameful. You see, it's up to them, but the fact remains that, be that as it may, what the nation wants now is not this kind of politics. What we want now is power to move to southern Nigeria, and particularly to southeast Nigeria. You know why? See, for me, it would be unthinkable for southwest Nigeria to push to produce the president of Nigeria in 2023, after producing the president for 8 years, vice president for 8 years. That is 16 solid years in about 20 years. And you want the southeast to wait for perhaps another 8 years for you to be done. Look, listen, that is. But
I mean, with a lot of southerners also saying that they don't want to support anyone from the southwest. Many of your leaders are saying that they don't want to support someone from the southwest. Don't you think the North can take the chance?
There is a very strong push for the southwest to take it again. But let me advise them. It is unfair when the Abiola presidency was at stake, the southeast rallied round and made sure that they backed Nadeko and all that. You can check through history. We have often shown that solidarity. This is the time that we require their support to produce a Nigerian president of southeast extraction. Okay. If they don't give it to us, well, it will be to your tent, O Israel.
All right, and I come to you. What do you make of such a very strong position?
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
because I've heard some people saying that instead of the southwest to actually produce the next president, people from southeast had rather prefer to vote for a northerner.
Yeah, it has to be principled. So, if you're doing social justice, there are two cases here. One is the case of justice. Who ought to have what? The second case is a case of political feasibility. What could happen?
In case of the South, there's still some sort of injustice in the South?
I don't think of a certain presidency in the big picture. I think that in terms of social justice, Southeast. Apart from that, you're going to think about political feasibility. Now, take it this way. If a party, APC is in power, if they didn't do well, and the election to becomes a referendum on APC, and Nigerian people feels APC should go, then they go to PDP. Now, PDP would think more around how they can win an election. And so the sense in which some people would say, well, power should be made open to all, is understandable from a political perspective. So, my of justice go straight away. Go to Southeast, not Southwest.
And you think the Southeast is prepared to present a formidable candidate? Because, I mean, exactly. We've only got a very few aspirants so far from the Southeast.
Too many aspirants. For example, you have Moalo, you have Anyim is there, strong, powerful.
I mean, this is the same Anyim that a group by Chifuli Ezugu said that Anyim is not the best aspirant that can emerge from the southeast.
Well. If you bring, when Yar'Adua came, Northern group didn't support 100%. When Obasanjo came, certain group, people up to today, and very few others don't see him as the Messiah. That's what politics. Politics is about the possibilities. Anyim has been there. He has won elections. I'm not even making a case for him, saying that on his own merit is strong enough. So this is not about Southeast provide somebody. This is about a national conversation. And I want to be on the record to say, I am looking for shared power across religious and ethnic. And shared power simply means to me that this is time now to say that whoever is the president of Nigeria, defense should go to X, police head should go to this. Abacha said that some years ago, when Abacha was talking about, a process of shared power, creating rotation and shared power. So the point is here is this, that some people in PDP will feel that, look, since the 16 years of PDP, the South has had more of that job. And therefore, probably, from a PDP perspective, North looks more attractive to them. People in APC will say, we just had Buhari 8 years, just the current president. So obviously they go to the South. Now, if PDP chooses to the North or APC chooses to the Southeast, as it might be, the question will still remain that we need a president. Nigeria is at the point now where we need to recreate a country. And recreate the country is to bring everybody on the table. And we have to undo Buhari's 8 years. And the
so gentlemen, do we go
to undo it is first to have a notion of shared power, which means it's not a power to the south, to the west, to the north, but power that will be shared. And you need a person who has the temperament to lead us to a new beginning, and we'll start the reform.
Well, we just hope some of these politicians wouldn't describe that as academic because they don't feel that.
Politics.
Well, okay, and I just come to you. Why not focus on merit, even if the best comes from the north?
I am focusing on merit. I am focusing on merit. I see a defeatist argument that the proponents of the principle of rotation, have jettisoned the merit. It's not true. Mm-hmm. If we say zone to the south, are you saying southern Nigeria is bereft of merit? Let us bring out our first 11 and let the north do the same. And let us compare notes and see if the southern candidates are not qualified, are not meritorious enough. I don't think the issue is merit, because what we are talking about is a right of first refusal. If you give it to the south, we are not saying you should pick from our lumpen class. It's not what we said.
Now, if they give it to the south, if they give it to the south, and someone from the south, for example, comes out and said, "Look, we didn't complete our term. Jonathan was kicked out." Would you, from the south, support the person, since you're finding it difficult to support a southwestern aspirant that may emerge as candidate?
No, you see, I want southeast. If I have a good reason why I can't get southeast, which for me is unthinkable, certainly you should be certain that my next port of call should be south-south. That is the truth.
So you wouldn't support Tinubu or Naushibajo, even if they're in the APC and they emerge?
South. If I can't get southeast, I can't get south-south, I will head north than go to southwest.
Why?
Betrayal. It's clear betrayal. If the southwest cannot support the Igbos this time around to produce the president of Nigeria of Igbo or southeast extraction, is for me betrayal, the height of it.
All right. What does the southwest need to do alongside the southeast to resolve this conundrum that you're talking about? Should leaders come together very quickly?
On principle, the southwest shouldn't run for the presidency again.
Well, they seem to have supported the north in the APC, for example, so if you're going to they think it's a time for them to be paid back.
If you're going to read politics, then I would say open it up for everybody so that we can seek out,
including the north.
Not, of course, there's no difference. Buhari is 8 years. Not in the last 21 years, the last since 1999, the north has actually governed for 8 plus 1 or 2. Okay, Southwest alone has governed 8 years plus 8. So there's nothing that disabled north from running again if Southwest will run. So for me, I want shared power. So I wouldn't mind voting a northeasterner, a northwesterner. It's in the same position as a southwest, because if you're talking about merit, mark my word, on justice, southeast. On a national politics, open politics, I go for shared power, and it doesn't matter.
And you would say it should go to the northeast. If it's to come to the north, you are saying it should go to the northeast.
No, I'm saying if it can go to anywhere else, but if you're going to do on justice, it's not southwest. If you're going to go on open politics, then we'll look for that person who can create a much more balanced politics.
So what I'm trying to derive from you here is that if the presidency goes to the southwest, it may not favor your own part of the country.
If it goes to southwest, I won't.
Is that the fear?
No, it first made it. It first justice. So the
right.
justice argument that's the point. So I won't support a southwest on justice.
Okay.